Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner is a New York Jet!
Swaggy Sauce Gardner.
I love Sauce. I love his tape. I love his press technique. I love his confidence. He has everything you want to see in the position. And I think Robert Saleh in this scheme is perfect. It's a hand-in-glove fit for him, man.
Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson! The New York Jets have just got two big-time playmakers!
I believe that Garrett Wilson is going to be the most impactful rookie receiver in this class. And I think we see Zach Wilson play like he did the last 6 games of the year, times 10, and have a phenomenal second season.
Wow, you think? Yeah! Yeah! Let's Jermaine Johnson!
Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State.
Breece Hall, oh my God, they got him! They went offense. They went with the best running back in the draft. Jeremy Rucker, oh my God! The Long Island native is a New York Jet!
J-E-T-S, Jet.
Let's go! Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream, and we are live with the Jets insider, DJ, to give you guys a minicamp recap. So, DJ, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm just chilling for the most part now. Now that the news is out, but I'm just chilling now, you know what I'm saying? Just kicking it in New York.
So, if for those guys that not see the news, DJ, do you want to let the people know what's going on with you?
Yeah, man, my last day of the Daily News is next Friday. Got an opportunity to go somewhere else. But I'm going to for sure miss the Jet fans because they made the experience outstanding, like just the amount, again, when you cover a team, you want to cover a situation that people are passionate about, and Jet fans are very passionate about the New York Jets. You feel me? And I mean, not every team's like that. I'm trying to think. I'm guessing the Jacksonville Jaguars, their fan base isn't as rabid as the Jets are. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes it fun, right? It kind of forces you to be on your P's and Q's. It forces you, think about the amount of Jet fan podcasts like yours, or Middle Initial Podcast, or NJ Today, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just there's so many out there. Badlands. Will, who I was doing a podcast with for a little second, his podcast. There's so many. So it's there's so many ways to get in tune with the Jets fan base, and you see how passionate they are, which again made the experience so much fun.
Well, I'm glad that we welcomed you in. It was a lot of fun having you on the show throughout this entire season. You did a great job, and this is going to be our last time talking Jets together on the channel. So, DJ, I appreciate everything you did with the New York Jets beat. You were one of my favorites covering the Jets, and you were the first beat reporter that really allowed me to get inside information, and you were welcome to come on the show, and you were very open to it. You answered your DM. So I want to thank you on behalf of the Jets fans for really becoming that guy that's really interactive with the fan base, because not every beat reporter is as interactive as you were with the fans, and we really do appreciate that. So with that being said, DJ, let's get right into the minicamp. So you were at OTAs, you were at minicamp. Let's talk about Zach Wilson. That is the number one guy that everyone wants to know about. He has a bad practice. People are freaking out. He has a good practice. People think we're going to the Super Bowl. And I always try to ground everybody. You can't read too much into the good. You can't read too much into the bad. I made videos on every single OTA and minicamp that the media like yourself was in at practice. I featured your tweets on all of my videos for references of what Zach Wilson and what the Jets were looking like. So I appreciate you giving us those play-by-play tweets, by the way. So overall, what were your thoughts of Zach Wilson in year number 2? Do you notice anything different from year 1 to year 2? I know it's really hard to evaluate with no pads and no live pass rush, but what's your overall thoughts of what you saw from Zach Wilson as he progressed from OTAs into minicamp?
Yeah, I mean, he understands the offense a lot better. Not in the sense that he didn't know the playbook, but now he understands how to read defenses within the offense. You know what I'm saying? It's not what I've come to find out is a lot of reading the defenses within this offense is finding two people and reading off of them for the most part. right? And Zach has done a much better job of that, which is why he's been a lot more decisive and efficient within attacking this defense. I mean, attacking the Jets defense. Obviously there were some ups and downs. Like one of the first two OTA practices we went to, like it was kind of meh. But then like he had, and then actually then he had a really good one. Then he had another meh one. That was actually kind of bad because I think he didn't really throw any touchdowns outside of like red zone, goal line 7-on-7. But like, even during that stretch, he threw an interception and he threw another one to Michael Carter. But then during minicamp, he was the first day he was like really good. Yesterday, he wasn't bad. He was above average. I won't say below. He was above average because like he started really hot, throwing some really nice passes to Jeff Smith. And then, he kind of faltered a little bit towards the end. And he had, like a stretch where he was like, I think red zone, goal line 7-on-7, like 2 for 8, threw interception and sauce. Then like 2 minute, he went like 1 for 3. But again, like it's like one thing that's noticeable is there's a lot more talent on defense. So it's gonna make the practices harder for Zach at times. So he's not gonna just be able to slice and dice every single day. But you see there's more efficiency. He knows, he has a better grasp of where he needs to go with the ball versus just, kind of winging it at times. You know what I'm saying?
And have you noticed that Zach kind of doesn't make the same mistake twice? Because I feel like in year number one as a rookie, when you're in OTAs and you're in minicamp for the first time in your life, you're making mistakes. And as a rookie quarterback, you kind of don't know why you made that mistake. And you keep repeating it and repeating it. Whereas in year number two, did you notice where he made a mistake and he kind of understood why he made that mistake and he didn't repeat it? Or was it the same? So when you say that's the difference, where he's noticing the change of his own playbook, he knows the defenses. So is that really a big difference that we can expect from Zach Wilson, not really making the same mistakes over and over again? Is that something that Jets fans should look forward to in year two, Zach?
So like in between, I wouldn't say that he's not going to make the same mistake twice. Like he's still, what is he, like 22, 23 years old? Like when week one rolls around, it's going to be his 14th straight start. 14th start of his career. So like to expect him to not make, the same mistakes a couple more times is, that's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
But what I say in between is like he's not making like the dumb mistakes that he's making as a rookie, which is kind of normal for rookie quarterbacks. So he's kind of gotten better in that. One thing again, like I hark back to the previous question, like he's just been really good at been better at locating where his eyes need to be and reading off of that, instead of trying to read like the entire defense and trying to be like a magician in the pocket, trying to be a brainiac. Just focusing on what exactly the objective of that specific play is and attacking it in that right, and finding the two defenders or one defender that you need to read and then go from there.
So outside of the quarterback position in Zach Wilson, when we talk about the wide receivers, is there any one guy that really stood out to you the most throughout all spring and summer in OTAs and minicamp that you feel like is destined to have a good season this year?
So to answer the latter part of the question, I would probably say they won't have much of an impact on the season, but the guys that have impressed me, like DJ Montgomery and Jeff Smith, right? Like obviously, the politics of football, like, it's a business. So at the end of the day, like Jeff Smith and DJ Montgomery probably aren't going to play that much, but they've made a lot of plays throughout OTAs in the spring. Like they've made a lot of plays, Jeff Smith had 2 of Zach Wilson's long touchdown passes yesterday. DJ Montgomery produced some big plays, right? So I think those two for sure are going to battle with Denzel Mims for that 5th receiver spot. Like those two, they're going to push Denzel because they both had better springs than Denzel had. But I will say Denzel did look like he looked more like what Jet fans saw from year one, right? So that's one thing that was kind of good to see. And then, I think Elijah, as long as Elijah stays healthy, and as long as Zach takes even like a marginal step, Elijah should be able to inch a lot closer to that 1,000-yard mark, or maybe even get over it. Elijah looks good. Like his ability to stop and start is, I won't say unprecedented because we've seen receivers like that, but it's phenomenal for the most part. Like he knows how to get in and out of his breaks with the fluidity that you need speed, the speed. Like, he can really like go 60 and then throttle it down to 0, basically like in a couple of steps, which is a special trait to have. Like, a lot of receivers don't have that trait, and he has that, which is going to allow him to be a really good receiver in year 2. So yeah, those 3 really stood out that I, vividly remember making like a bunch of plays.
And you mentioned Denzel Mims, and that was going to be my follow-up question. We see some people like yourself and Rich and Connor keep bringing up Denzel Mims' name, and we know he's running with the 2s and 3s, and Joe Flacco is really his quarterback when he's out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's making a lot of plays out there, and the Jets, a coaching staff, are speaking glowingly of him. This is his first opportunity in his life with the Jets to have a healthy OTAs. In his rookie season, he didn't really be able to participate in training camp because he had hamstring issues. Year number 2, we all know he had food poisoning, so he's not able to participate in OTAs. So he's behind in the playbook. He's behind on everything, and he was trying to play catch up. His lower half wasn't intact, and now you hear Mike LaFleur raving about him. You hear Saleh raving about him. So do you think Jets fans should really expect Denzel Mims to make that 5th spot? And if his name is called, could he be a guy to really implement that, live up to his potential? Because I feel like Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas really give Jets players or draft picks a 3-year window before they write them off. And now Denzel Mims is entering that year number 3. So this is a pivotal year for Denzel Mims. So based on what you saw from him in minicamp, do you think that if he stays healthy, he will actually become a guy that's impactful this season?
What do you mean as impactful?
Like if his name is called, like if
but
injuries
I'm saying,
get
like,
called up.
Like, wait, but that
For
yeah,
example,
I think he'll be on the roster. But what do you mean by like impactful?
So, for example, last year he was not impactful, right? So his name was
Right.
called. There was injuries, and he got an opportunity. In the middle of the season, he was starting, and he had pre-snap penalties. He dropped a touchdown. He didn't do
Right.
anything. I mean, he basically was a ghost out there. So if his name is called this year, and he does get an opportunity to start a couple of games, do you think he's going to make some plays where he might get his first touchdown of his career, or he might have a couple games where he has like a 4 or 5 reception game with like 50 to 60 yards, basically not doing what he did last year? Because last year was really bad to the point where he doesn't look like a receiver that belongs in a league. But I really feel like they had a lot of factors going against him. So do you think if his name is called this year, if there's any injuries, that he'll be more impactful than he was last year?
Oh yeah, I think he'd be more impactful than he was last year. I just don't know how impactful. I think, like, this opportunity is called, and he say injuries happen, he gets to start. I think he'll be a lot better than what he was last year. As long as people are healthy, I don't really envision a scenario where like Mims is getting a lot of burn, to be honest, because you got, again, it's a business. So you got Corey, who's making $12 million. You got Elijah, who led the team in receiving yards last year. You got Braxton, who they just paid, who's right now, as everything stands, he's a starter. Like, I think the way it's looking, it's gonna be between him and Garrett Wilson battling for that last starting spot. And you have, again, Garrett Wilson was the number 10 overall pick, right? So if, obviously you would probably need 2 of those guys to get hurt for him to become a starter. And then let's say one guy gets hurt and then like he's the next man up and then like they're doing a rotation. Yeah, could I see him making plays here and there? Yeah, sure. But I just wouldn't set like the bar to like this,
Yeah.
Like, can you start come in and like get you like 100 for, get you 100 for like a touchdown? Maybe, but like I wouldn't set that as a bar because there's just things outside of his, I guess, his control that are gonna, at the end of the day, be a factor as long as everybody's healthy, which, that's not going to happen, right? Someone will miss a game, like soft tissue injuries, maybe season ending, whatever it is. Like, injuries happen, especially at the receiver spot. And when he steps in, he'll be able to produce a little bit because he looks solid there in minicamp and OTAs. I just wanted to ask, so we just, make sure we don't have it in like, oh, could he like be a dynamic factor in his offense, when in reality, probably not, because of just the people that are in front of him.
Yeah, and I personally think Mims' biggest problem last year was he just wasn't able to grasp the offense. He wasn't able to learn the, all the positions that the wide receivers are asked to do in this scheme. And this is his first opportunity where he gets to be in the same offense. He doesn't have to learn a brand new playbook because his rookie season, he had to learn Gase's playbook. Year number 2, he had to learn LaFleur's playbook. So now year number 3, he doesn't have to learn a brand new playbook. So hopefully that goes in his favor. So flipping over to the opposite side, we have a revamped secondary. the secondary has starters all over the place that was not on the roster last year. Sauce Gardner being that 4th overall pick, DJ Reed bringing in free agency, Jordan Whitehead, LaMarcus Joyner coming back from injury last year, Michael Carter II entering year number 2. So what was your overall impressions of the secondary in OTAs and minicamp?
I like what I've seen. Sauce, for a guy his size, is pretty nimble, moves really well. I'm not talking about like down the field, his overall top. So I'm talking about like twitchiness, quickness to get in and out of breaks, things of that nature. He moves really well for a guy that size, so that's a plus. DJ Reed, he met my expectations so far in a way, like he's been able to make plays on the ball, the way he has to have sticky coverage. Jordan Whitehead has been a revelation sounds like a strong word, but let's go with that just for the sake of the discussion, because he's looked really good in terms of being able to protect over the top, to be a Roman safety. And LaMarcus hasn't practiced that much, but so Jason Pinnock stepped in his place, and Jason Pinnock made some plays. Like Jason Pinnock has looked good. You know what I'm saying? Like I wrote in some of my articles, my observations, like Pinnock is going to contend for that starting spot across from Jordan Whitehead, like in between him and LaMarcus Joyner. Like obviously LaMarcus has the leg up, but but Pinnock has to continue the momentum he's built in the offseason and take it in the training camp so he could possibly steal that job. Because if they're even, teams are always going to run with the young guy, because why go with the older guy when I can just go with the younger guy that is, going to give you the same, and he might have a higher upside. So he's looked good. Michael Carter II still looks good. You know what I'm saying? Bryce Hall, he's had some good days. He's had some okay days, but Bryce Hall being your 3rd cornerback, that's a good proposition. So.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy that Bryce Hall was a starter last year. I personally think Bryce Hall is a starter in this league. Now, he might not be a top-end starter. He might not be the best corner prospect out there, but I feel like he's a guy that on any other team that needs a corner, they'd love to have Bryce Hall as their starter. So for the Jets to have him as a potential CB number 3, backing up Sauce and DJ Reed, that just tells you the depth that we truly have at this cornerback position. Guys, if you're enjoying this minicamp recap with my guy DJ, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button for your boy. I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in for this live, or if you watch this on replay, I greatly appreciate each and every one of you guys. So DJ, you already did mention guys like Jeff Smith and DJ Montgomery that are kind of sleepers, but you can either talk about them again, but I also want to ask you, are there any other sleepers that Jets fans aren't really looking at as impactful players for this season that are really trying to make their name heard in training camp that's coming up and trying to make the 53-man roster? That's not really, they could be starters, but they could also be backups. That's really caught your eye in the spring and summer.
So this guy that I might mention, he's obviously paid to be like a starter, but I think, I don't want to say we're underestimating, we're kind of a little bit underestimating how much production he can have in his offense, and that's Tyler Conklin. I think he's gonna be tight end number 1. Like that was Zach's probably his favorite target throughout the spring. I think that's the guy he threw the most passes to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so much rotation at the receiver spot, so tight end. Like he was throwing to and there wasn't as much at the tight end spot because you CJ's hurt, and you have Lawrence Cager, you have Yoboa, but yeah, and then you have Wesco. So it's been a lot to what's his name, to Tyler Conklin. So I think he could have a lot of success this year. Another person, obviously, I mentioned Jason Pinnock. If he can win that battle, I think that's somebody that's a sleeper that could end up being a starter, that could end up, making some plays throughout the season. So those are like the 2 that really jump out because everything's kind of set in stone, right? Like we know who the receivers are going to be. We know who the D-line is going to be. We know who the linebackers are going to be. We kind of know who the secondary is going to be, and we have like a couple spots where it's like, okay, well, what if? And, there's some what ifs like just but not LaMarcus Joyner or Tyler Conklin, C.J. Uzomah, and I think that Tyler Conklin and Jason Pinnock, yeah, man, I think those 2 for sure had really good springs, and they continue that and carry that. They for sure could, make an impact during the season.
So we know that Jeremy Ruckert and CJ Uzama are a little banged up and they did not participate in any of the OTAs. So that gave a guy like Lawrence Cager an opportunity to play, who was a wide receiver for the Jets when they picked him up in undrafted free agency. And now he added some weight and now he's transitioned to a tight end. And I've heard a lot of great things about Lawrence Cager making a lot of plays. Is that true? Do you see Cager out there as at the tight end position that you feel like he has any chance of making the roster? Or do you think he's just someone that's, taking advantage of his opportunity because of the injuries ahead of him?
Yeah, I think he has a chance for sure. I think he absolutely has a chance because he's made a lot of plays at tight end too. Because it's a lot easier for him in the pass game because instead of going against corners instead of going against corners, he's going against linebackers and safeties and nickel corners who he is much bigger than. So he's been able to make some plays. My only concern is, okay, what are you gonna let when the pass come on? He has to block a defensive end because that ain't easy. So that's kind of my take on Lawrence Cager, but he's looked good in the pass game, that's for sure.
Maybe he'll be that receiving threat tight end instead of, because the other three guys ahead of him, that's, Conklin, Uzama, and Ruckert, they are dual threat tight ends that can block as well. So the Jets at the tight end position are deep, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. Someone in the chat actually brings up a good question. A player that I want to get your thoughts of is Ashtyn Davis. Apparently he's been making one-handed grabs, picking off Joe Flacco with the second team. So what's your thoughts of Ashtyn Davis? Because he's entering year number 3 of his career with the New York Jets. Do you think he's going to be able to be a guy if his name is called? Because I do think he's a depth piece. He's going to be behind Whitehead and Pinnock and Joyner. So what's your thoughts of Ashtyn Davis entering year number 3 and your thoughts of him in OTAs?
Yeah, I mean, he's for sure made some plays. He's caught some interceptions, some really nice ones. He's grown within the system. I mean, I don't really know what my expectations are for him. It just depends. Can he get into that battle? Can he insert his name in that battle with Pinnock, LaMarcus Joyner? Because at the end of the day, like, Jordan Whitehead is going to start. So he looks like if he continues on this progression, he could be a good depth piece, a good backup to where, like, someone misses a game, he could step in and he could hold it down for sure.
And when it comes to the offensive line, Mekhi Becton is a huge talking point with this entire New York Jets offseason. And he did not participate in voluntary OTAs because of the birth of his first son. And he showed up to mandatory minicamp, but he was not able to practice. And he spoke to you guys yesterday wearing that T-shirt of Big Bust and all the names around it, of all the names that he's been called throughout his life. And he's using it as motivation. So what were your biggest takeaways from seeing Mekhi Becton in person, interviewing him yourself, seeing him in a press conference, and your thoughts about him potentially competing for that left tackle spot?
It's so polarized and complex, but I'm kind of sticking to my stance that everything now is kind of, I don't use the word fluff, but it's window dressing, because Mekhi's critics aren't going to go anywhere until he goes onto the field week 1 and he does his thing. Like, he could look like dog water during training camp. And if he goes week 1 through week 18 and plays good football, that's all that truly matters. Because when you have the critics that he has, he can't silence it. It's kind of similar with Zach, right? Like, Zach has his critics too. Those two can't silence anything until the season comes around, and he's in that boat, right? Like there's a lot of narrative with Mekhi. There's a lot of narratives about shape, health, physical shape, health. What he's going to play, left tackle, right tackle, all that stuff's going to figure itself out, and it's all. I mean, so I think left tackle, right tackle. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's kind of set in stone. I don't want to go that far, but it's pretty obvious what they're going to do. They're going to put Fant at left, and they're going to put Mekhi at right tackle. I think it's that simple, right? Because you can't have a whole training camp battle between these two. Let's say it goes 4 weeks. They've both been playing left tackle, and then now you put, the loser at right tackle. You know what I'm saying? You kind of want to have that figured out early. Granted, yes, you can do, okay, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday practice, you got Mekhi at left, and then Tuesday, Thursdays, you got Fant at right tackle, and then obviously they flip. I mean, Tuesday, Thursday practice, you have Fant at left, and then Mekhi at right, and you flip. You know what I'm saying? You could do something like that. But eventually, like, you want them to be at their spot and then get settled and get used to playing that side of the ball. But Mekhi has the versatility to play left or right tackle. So if it's just gonna come down to, okay, how soon can they figure out which guy's gonna go? And once that happens, stay healthy, get settled in, and get ready for week 1. Because again, like the narratives, the weight stuff, I don't want to say it's fluff. It's not. But again, it's window dressing for what the real meal is, right? The meal is gonna be from week 1 to week 18. The critics are gonna find out is the meal good, or is the meal bad, or is the meal average? That's what everything comes down to. That's kind of why I didn't really get too off into the weeds with the whole Mekhi Becton situation, because at the end of the day, his critics go away once he gets out on the field. And if he plays well, they go away. If he doesn't, now you could point to these other things that led to him not playing well. But again, it's still gonna come down to that. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what my stance has been. I believe talent-wise, he should be just fine this year. He should be able to play well. But at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's a prediction. No one can say with certainty, prediction-wise, how Mekhi is going to be this year on the field. I mean, he thinks he's going to do really well. I think he has that potential to do that. But I can't say for certain, because at the end of the day, he was hurt all of last year. And, so.
Yeah, and it's funny because the critics are kind of saying stuff where they're worried about his, being in shape and all that stuff. When the truth of the matter is, it's not like he's a bad player. Like, you watch the film of his rookie season, and what he did as a rookie, you should give Jets fans a lot of excitement about his potential. I think the only concern people have is really his durability. And that I understand, because he did get injured at week number 1 and stayed out for the entire season. But you cannot tell me with a straight face that, his talent is, if you just look at what he did as a rookie, going up against Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa as a rookie, and really held his ground. He didn't have a spectacular rookie season. That's
Right.
expected as a rookie. He's going to have his ups and downs, but I think he had way more ups and downs as a rookie. And that tells me, as a Mekhi Becton supporter, that all he needs to do is get in shape and get onto the field, and then he's going to prove all the data was wrong, like you mentioned. And then speaking of the other offensive tackle, and George Fant, he recently tweeted yesterday, he commented on Minkah Fitzpatrick's breaking news about him getting an extension, and he said it must be nice. So obviously George Fant is looking to get paid. He's looking to be extended by the New York Jets. Do you feel like it would be a good idea for the New York Jets to extend George Fant before training camp? He is nursing knee surgery, so both of our tackles are a little nicked up right now, which does get me a little uneasy. I don't like to hear that, because both of our tackles are not participating in OTAs. But do you think George Fant is a guy that the New York Jets can compensate and make sure he's a long-term guy on this roster?
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I would extend Fant, but I understand why, the Jets, I don't use the word shouldn't, but I understand why the Jets are waiting this out. Because again, Fant's only had one legitimately good year. So from their perspective, they want to see it again. And then, because it doesn't cost them too much to just wait it out, unless he goes out there and has an all-pro season. Now you got to pay him $20 million. That's the only thing, right? So there, it's from a business perspective, it's probably better to wait, because again, as you mentioned, he had the knee injury, so you want to see what he looks like when he gets back. You just want to see how he plays this year, right? So if he plays well, you can extend him during the season, similar to what they did with JFM, right? Because to be honest, JFM was kind of smart in getting this money early, because he kind of faded a little bit towards the end. But he was dealing with injuries and just overall fatigue. From having the depth on the D line was so depleted that he had to play a lot more snaps than was probably ideal for him. But I could see it going both ways, where you kind of wait to see how he looks in training camp, wait to see how he looks maybe in the season, then you extend him, right? And he doesn't really do any harm to kind of wait that situation out from the Jets perspective. Yeah, Fant might be a little pissed, but he's still making like $10 million. So I know he just wants that long-term security. And I think that, how Joe D is. Joe D is very smart when it comes to, I give him that. He's very smart when it comes to handing out deals and things like that.
Yeah, and that's something that Jets fans are not used to. Our GMs are the complete opposite. in previous regimes than Joe Douglas. He really understands. If I'm the Jets, though, I give him that extension. I'm smart with the money. I give him a lot of upfront guaranteed money for this year, and where the structure of the deal benefits both sides. I feel like that's something that probably will happen if he is at training camp and he is healthy. And like you said, maybe the Jets are going to wait it out and do it in the middle of the season like they did with JFM. That is definitely something I'm probably expecting. So DJ, that's really going to do it for this mini camp recap. I really do appreciate you hopping on the channel to give us your inside information of what you saw at One Jets Drive throughout all of OTAs and minicamp. Anything else you'd like to say? This is going to be our last live stream together, talk to some Jets. So anything you'd like to say to Jets fans or Jets Nation or this team in general, or what to expect this year?
Yeah, man. I say, to you, Richie, just keep grinding. You know what I'm saying? Keep putting in the work. You have a great channel. You produce good content. You produce fun content that can make Jet fans want to tune in, make Jet fans feel good about listening to what they're listening to. You know what I'm saying? You keep it fun. So I mean, bro, just keep that up. At the end of the day, like you've done good work, and no matter what any critics or whatever anybody says, you have a lot of support, and I've enjoyed coming on this channel because you know what you're doing.
Appreciate that big time, DJ. Love to you. Good luck on your next journey. I'm excited to find out what that journey is. I'm sure you're going to do great things over there. What you did with this, covering the Jets for the last year, I've always wanted to have a connection with a beat reporter, and I'm happy that you were the first one on this channel that was very open to join the show. So guys, make sure you guys check out DJ over on Twitter. That's linked down below to support DJ on his next journey. It's going to be a big time thing. I'm excited to find out what it is. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys like the video if you guys enjoy. That does it for minicamp recap. Now it's going to be like a 6-week hiatus until training camp. So we got a lot of interesting things coming your way up until then. I'm signing out now. DJ, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time. Let's go Jets, everybody. Peace out.